Joining us now for more is Professor Chuck Fey, the former Israeli Deputy National Security Advisor, professor now of political science at Tel Aviv University. He joins us from Hod Sharon. And Chuck, our viewers know you mainly for coming on I-24 News to discuss security and diplomatic developments, but I understand you were at the protest today in Jerusalem. Maybe explain why you were there and react, as you heard Prime Minister Netanyahu's calling the opposition, accusing it of bullying, of civil unrest, of incitement in opposing these reforms.
Well, you're absolutely right, Calev, that my area of expertise is national security. But I think what we are seeing today is absolutely an issue of national security when Israel's fundamental system of government, its democracy, is under severe threat. That is a national security threat in itself. And I think actually the Prime Minister's speech is very relevant to what I'm saying now, in the sense that there was probably not a single word of truth in that entire statement. I must say the nerve to say what he said there, to place on the opposition things that it's just exactly the opposite, and it's what he and his supporters are doing, it's really quite extreme. What we see here is an effort to demolish Israel's democratic system and its judicial system, primarily to save one person from judicial risk. This is really, I don't even know what to call it.
Right.
It's horrible.
But there were some actions taken, these demonstrations at the home of Knesset members, such as Tali Gottlieb today, that have generated some pushback from, or spurred some of these accusations, say, of bullying.
Yeah, so look, in extreme circumstances, people try and take various measures to express their deep concern, their fury. I don't want to defend every single action taken by the opposition here. There's no need to do so. The issue here is an attempt to demolish Israel's judiciary and to subvert the democratic system in that process. Today is, to my way of thinking, one of the worst days in Israel's history. It is the beginning of a legislative process at the end of which Israel is in grave risk of becoming an illiberal democracy. Now, I must tell you, I never thought those words would cross my lips. Israel, an illiberal democracy?
Right, Chuck.
These people should be ashamed of themselves.
Right, there is an international aspect to these reforms. The U.S. ambassador to Israel, Tom Knight, suggesting that the brakes be put on the proposals. Now, last night, both Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich responded, I think, to that comment. One indirectly, the latter very directly.
Israel is a democracy and will remain a democracy with majority rule and proper safeguards for civil liberties. That's the first thing. The second thing, you can clap, that's good. Second thing is all democracies should respect the will of other free peoples, just as we respect their democratic decisions.
We have always made sure not to intervene in the internal American affairs, and so I expect from the United States not to intervene in our internal affairs.
Chuck, just briefly, your response to both the U.S. commenting on the judicial reforms.
Okay, well, I mean, first of all, just to add one sentence to the Prime Minister's speech yesterday, left is right and up and down is inside is outside. I mean, other than that, he said everything. Look, it's not just the Ambassador Knight, who came out with a statement which should be of great concern to any Israeli citizen. More importantly, it's the president himself and the Secretary of State, who for the first time, I believe, in the history of the U.S.-Israeli relationship, came out with a statement not, let's say, criticizing Israel's policies in the West Bank and expressing concern about potential infractions of democracy there. Here they're talking about Israel's democracy itself. And this comes on top of the rise of an extreme right-wing government in Israel. It comes on the rise of the decision to approve another 9 settlements, 10,000 homes we are risking our entire relationship with the United States. And even more importantly, we are every day, every additional home built creates or leads us closer to the creation of a binational reality and the potential end of the Zionist dream.
Joining us again, still with us, is Professor Chuck Fey, former Israeli Deputy National Security Advisor, now Professor of Political Science at Tel Aviv University. He joins us from Hod Sharon. And Chuck, the Prime Minister...
And a senior researcher of late at INSS.
At INSS, absolutely. Now, the Prime Minister's office just released a statement about that President's statement released at the UN Security Council, condemning it as one-sided, saying it does not fully condemn Palestinian terror. It discounts the Israeli rights to Judea and Samaria, the West Bank. But at the end of that statement, it says this statement did not need to be issued, and the United States did not have to join it. A very strong criticism of the U.S. here. Let's put that into the context of what you were talking about earlier, relations now between this current Israeli government and the U.S.
Well, actually, I think what we should be doing is threatening to cut off all financial and military aid to the United States. And we should not help the U.S. achieve peace with its neighbors or normalize its relations with other countries. And I think that Israel should threaten not to use its veto in the Security Council the next time the United States is brought up for a decision there. Look.
So I just make clear to those viewers who don't understand, you're being very sarcastic.
Yes, I am being slightly sarcastic. This is an inversion of the relationship. We're really going to dictate terms to the United States. That sounds like a wise approach, and teach them a lesson. That's also a wise approach. Look, I said that this is a very sad day for Israeli democracy today. It's also a sad day for our relationship with the U.S. Now, it was just a UN president, a General Assembly, a Security Council presidential statement. That's quite important, because what it indicates here is that the 15 members of the Security Council agreed on the issue and condemned Israel resoundingly, and the U.S. also issued its own condemnation, a rather forceful condemnation here, and the U.S. for its own reasons, which in this case did not have much to do with Israel, but other American concerns, such as first and foremost, they're concerned about what's happening with Ukraine, Russia, and the relationship with China. They don't want to use the veto on other issues. They don't want to distract attention, and if they start vetoing things, the other people will veto things. This wasn't an act of strong American support for Israel. To the opposite, it expressed the growing division between the two countries. And that's a potentially existential threat for the state of Israel.
All right, and just briefly now, where do you see this going now in terms of the Biden administration, what they might do next?
Well, I think if we have a couple of more decisions like this on Israel's part to legalize more outposts, to build more homes, sooner or later we're going to find ourselves in a situation that we were in the last month or two of the Obama administration, where at the time Obama didn't vote against the resolution, which was a non-binding one criticizing Israeli settlement activity.
All right.
That caused a huge reaction in Israel.
Right.
It got everybody nervous.
All right.
That'll be the first stage. And as I said before, I think we're risking our entire relationship with the United States.
All right, Chuck Fey, Professor Chuck Fey, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.